Hey guys, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, home of all things stock, investment, and personal finance related. Now for today's video, we've got Sue Ennis back from Hut 8 Mining. I'm excited to talk about their Q2 results and give an update on their merger with USBTC. We've got a lot to talk about in today's video, but before we do, please take a second, hit the like button, you guys. It's a big help to myself and the channel. If you're not already subscribed, McNallie Money, feel free to join. We'd love to have you as part of the community. And let me know in the comment section below if you have any questions for Sue or the rest of the Hut 8 team, if you're currently holding shares, and what your thoughts are on their proposed merger with US Bitcoin. Now with that being said, let's get into today's interview. Okay guys, so that's right. Today's video, we've got a special guest for you, back by popular demand, Sue Ennis, who's the VP of Corporate Development at Hut 8 Mining. Sue, I don't even know how many times you've been on here. It's been quite a few now, but I'm loving following the story. I'm invested in Hut 8. It's my biggest position. I love what you guys are doing with the merger, and I'm excited to talk about it today. So welcome back, and thanks for being here.
Hey guys, super pumped to be back again. Lots going on. I think we're on day 11 of the shareholder vote. So yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, exciting stuff going on. I've been asking Sue to get back, and she's been wanting to wait for obviously the merger news, and I think this will be a good update. And we've got some questions from the audience here, so a lot of the questions came from you guys, and I really appreciate it. So first one, you just mentioned it, voting's open. How do shareholders who are eligible to vote actually do so?
Okay, so you can enter your voting instructions by telephone on the number that's on your voter information form. So 1-800-474-7493. You can also contact Alliance Advisors. They are a retail advisory proxy firm. And their email is hut8, the number 8, @allianceadvisors.com. Or you can call them 1-888-511-2641. And you have until September 8th at 4 p.m. ET Eastern time to get your vote in. So please go vote. It's super important. If you're a shareholder in Hut 8, you're also a co-owner in this business with us, and your opinion matters. So
definitely, and lots of optionality in terms of how you can actually vote. So make sure you guys do that. You're owners of the business, just like I am. Timelines is next, Sue. A lot of people have been asking me about timelines. I know this was originally planned to close, I think, in Q2. What are we looking like if it gets approved through the vote?
Okay, so there's quite a few steps that need to still happen. So once the SEC approves our S4, we just had another letter writing round with them. And once we get approval for the merger from you guys, the shareholders, again, that deadline to get those in is September 8th Eastern time. The transaction would then ideally receive an approval from the court. And again, closing conditions still have to be in place. All of that's in your management information circular with respect to what those closing conditions are. And then the shares will then be issued, because we're doing a 5-for-1 stock split merger of equals. And we'll keep you abreast of all that via press releases, via social media. And as per one of our last press releases, we currently anticipate that the transaction will be completed by September 30th. Obviously, that's, there's a lot of steps in place, but that is, what we announced that we anticipate the transaction completion date. So.
Yeah, amazing. I can't imagine how excited you guys are. September 1st, tomorrow. So we're in the home stretch here. Now the next question, this was actually one that I talked about with Sebastian on my channel, but you did a really good job, Sue, when you were on a few episodes ago about explaining kind of how the share split would work and the shares outstanding, the merger of equals, all that stuff. And we put a visual up on the screen. And since then, obviously the price of Bitcoin has changed. You guys have a huge reserve in excess of 9,000 Bitcoin. So your market cap is very dependent on the price of Bitcoin. So as a result, market cap has obviously changed. Should we still consider this a merger of equals, or is it not now because the market caps are different?
Yeah, so this is still a merger of equals, because effectively it's a 50-50 split. And Hut 8, as you guys know, we had about 221 million shares outstanding. US Bitcoin Corp had a different set of, or different number of shares outstanding. And we needed to make sure that the shares outstanding that each company owned was approximately 50-50. And yeah, regardless of the fact that the market cap has gone up, it is still considered an ownership split of 50-50 from a share perspective. Remember, US Bitcoin Corp also brings a tremendous power portfolio, tremendous amount of power PPAs, an energy hedging team, two different new lines of business that Hut 8 does not have. So yes, we have a tremendous stack, but there is a ton that these guys are bringing to the table. And remember, guys, this isn't a dilution event. This is a consolidation event. So yeah, hopefully that explains it for you guys.
It does, yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up again because I know there was concern about that, and your explanation makes perfect sense to me. I was also able to get my hands on some July production results from USBTC, and I got to tell you, Sue, it looked really promising, to like better than I had thought. So, yeah, super excited for that, and glad to clear up kind of the merger of equal question. So, next one on the list here. Talks about the bear market. So, in your opinion, is Hut 8 positioned if this bear market is extended? I know we're seeing a lot of optimism around the spot ETFs and the grayscale ruling and all the rest, but if for whatever reason it is prolonged, are you guys in it for the long run here?
Absolutely, without a doubt. So remember, we're not only just a self miner mining Bitcoin in a post-merger world, we also have a hosting business. We also have a robust electron arbitrage proprietary software program and site management services business called MIO, Managed Infrastructure Operations. We also have a high performance computing business with a little over 300 enterprise customers that are using our data centers, not even correlated, which is not correlated at all to the crypto industry or price of Bitcoin. We're talking governments, financial institutions, healthcare providers, government healthcare providers, for example, out of British Columbia, are all using those data centers. And I think, again, this is what we really like about the strategy is that or a post-merger world for Hut 8 is that it's a very dynamic business where there are multiple levers and events that can happen in the macro economy that could potentially create catalysts for growth on many different levels for the many different pieces of this post-merger business.
Sure. Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the HPC or high performance computing. I know you guys said there was about 4.2 million of revenue in Q2 that was generated from that business unit without Interior Health in there. So that was really impressive to see, and I know Q2's been out for a couple weeks now, but that was definitely a highlight for me. Now, next question here, you kind of alluded to it, honestly, between the different business units and the stack you guys have, but what is the current competitive edge for Hut? If people are on the channel, they're looking at the different miners, why should they put your money or their money with you guys?
Yeah, so in a post-merger world, as we've already briefly touched on, we will have a tremendous energy portfolio and megawatts under management, over 825 megawatts under management. Your investors are super savvy and do a lot of due diligence. Have a look at any competitor in the space. 825 megawatts is an extraordinary amount of power to be managing. The deal also comes with an energy hedging team, research and development, again, the high performance computing place.
And just on a side, isn't it funny how the governments used to say, oh, Bitcoin mining's so bad for the environment and so bad for the power grid, and now that's just completely been debunked, and now it's helping the grid,
100%, but also you have KPMG released a report highlighting Bitcoin's utility with respect to methane emissions. The World Economic Forum did, MIT did. The data is there. And again, businesses like managed infrastructure operations are designed to provide that services layer on top of the obvious utility that Bitcoin has. So
yeah, just amazing. A lot of synergies. So, no, good. I'm glad we brought that up. Now, next question, the big one, HODL. You guys have over 9,000 or 9,100 Bitcoin or something now. What's the plan and strategy there?
Yeah, so Jamie touched on that at the end. Jamie, our CEO, touched on that at the end of our Q2 earnings call. In a nutshell, We're hodling, baby. We believe this is a unique differentiator for us. We believe this is an important part of our treasury management strategy, and that's all I can say on that. But that's the move over here.
Okay, so should we continue small, like will we continue to see small selling to cover operational costs? Kind of what we're seeing as the norm right now, or are you guys hodling everything you're mining?
Well, again, I can't disclose anything that we haven't
Okay,
disclosed,
fair.
but yeah, I mean, we certainly, as we've discussed in prior press releases, we are selling a little bit of production to keep the lights on, but that main HODL strategy, treasury strategy has not changed philosophically on our end in any way, shape, or form. I'm going to be honest with you guys. There have been times when I've run into Jamie's office and I've been like, we need to sell to do X, Y, Z, like hammering her, trying to get her to sell to potentially reinvest in do different things. She's not doing it. She has not been interested in that conversation. And you know what? I think, she's been right. She's been right. It's smart to hang on to this, especially going into the next halving, which is not that far away. We're like 8 months out from it, for a 50% reduction in supply. So yeah, Jamie's very bullish on Bitcoin.
Yeah, I agree with her, and Jamie's extremely intelligent, so I'm fully supportive of her strategy. And every time I read about that halving, I just keep thinking 9,100 Bitcoin in the bank. Like it's going to take other companies so long to make 9,000 Bitcoin after the halving. So I for sure support that HODL strategy.
So not even take companies so long to try and make 9,000, but cost.
Yeah,
right? Like the
yeah.
amount of energy, power, machines that you would have to employ to try and win and make 9,000 Bitcoin is extraordinary, which again is why Jamie's been so bullish on hanging on to as much as possible.
Well, and the diversified revenue streams, right? That's another great thing about all these other business units. So great color to that and context. So now this one was a personal question as well. USBTC, another big exciting part of this deal is obviously their Celsius deal or transaction. So can you give us a bit of an update there? And what does that really mean for the company?
Okay, so again, there's only so much I can legally get into right now, but if you look up on the internet, you can see that in the July presentation for its bankruptcy filing, Celsius revealed that it had more than 43,000 active Bitcoin mining rigs, which is about 4.3 exahash of equipment. And they had plans to expand to about 112,000 of mining rigs and in mining it was supposed to be in Q2 of 2023. So US Bitcoin Corp is part of a joint venture called Fahrenheit that bid for these bankruptcy assets of Celsius. I believe there's a bunch of other assets in their portfolio outside of just the mining rigs. And so Fahrenheit did win the auction. And I mean, everything is still subject to approval from the bankruptcy court. But part of that win for Fahrenheit and US Bitcoin Corp in particular is US Bitcoin Corp won a services agreement. So, and that's using their managed infrastructure operating business. So they will be managing, again, subject to approval from bankruptcy court, some of their mining rigs. In exchange for a fee of about $15 million a year, obviously subject to bankruptcy approval and net of some costs and fees. But so that's pretty meaningful to US Bitcoin Corp's bottom line. Obviously, an extra 15 million if that gets approved is meaningful. And again, that's their managed infrastructure operations business that I talked about earlier. That's going to be managing that.
Sure. Yeah, I read about that and I think it's really important and not a lot of people are talking about it. So I wanted to make sure that we threw it in. And I understand, Sue, obviously you're in a tight spot here. We want all the answers. You can't give them. You're going through this merger process. So you know what? We really appreciate you coming on here. I'm hopeful that in a month's time, we can have you back on, hopefully the first interview, and talk about this deal after it's closed and approved. But we really appreciate you coming today, and thanks for shedding some light on all the exciting stuff going on at HUD 8.
Yeah, always happy to be here. Love your channel, love your audience, and talk to you soon.